beauty gang? Long time no talk. I am finally back with another girl talk. I know your girl been tripping. I've been going through some things. Not really, it's just life and school, and you know, the fact that I'm about to graduate in less than 3 months. So, you know, your girl has been on the ball with that, but I am back and better. Okay, as you can tell by the title, today's girl talk is all about vaginas. Okay, the cookie, the treasure box, the punani, the meow, the vajayjay. Did I say punani already? So you know I'm not the rambling type with the big intro. That's not me. Okay, but I will say, make sure if you're new to this channel that you're hitting that subscribe button and hitting the bell button so that you're notified each time I post a video on my channel. Okay, and let me be the first to tell you, welcome to Beauty Gang Boo. Alright, I've been right into the video. So first thing that I want to touch on in terms of our vaginas, if you watched my losing your virginity girl talk video, you know that I touched on the whole bleeding thing in terms of losing your virginity. Now, there were people in the comment section who actually were saying like, I didn't bleed when losing my virginity, blah blah blah. So I do need to correct myself real quick and make sure I have established the fact that it's not guaranteed that you are going to bleed in the process or after you've lost your virginity, because not all vaginas have hymens, and hymens are what is basically like puncture to cause the blood to come out. So therefore, because not everyone's vagina has a hymen, there might not be blood in the process of losing your virginity. You know, I'm looking at my notes just saying that vaginas generally look alike or whatever, but I actually want to specify what I mean by that. When I say look alike, I don't mean like my vagina look like Beyonce vagina. I mean like in terms of what's in our vaginas and what's made up of our vaginas. That's what I mean by they look alike. But there's a lot of different size and color vaginas, which is based off race, which is based off how much fat you have around your vagina lips. So although all vaginas do have the same things, they don't all necessarily look alike. And that is fine. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. And also, your vagina color does not necessarily correlate with your skin tone. So just because I'm like this beautiful milk chocolate doesn't mean my treasure box is milk chocolate. Since girl talk is always 100% real, my treasure box is actually like a dark chocolate color or whatever. That's just how it is. So don't be ashamed if your treasure box, your cookie, whatever you want to call it, your punani, is a different color than what your skin tone is. That's normal. Something a lot of you guys might not know is that you can actually exercise your vagina just like you exercise the rest of your body. Your vagina is a muscle. A muscle can be worked out, toned up, get buff. Well, I don't think you want a buff vagina, but you can exercise your vagina by doing this thing called Kegels. If you don't know what Kegels are, it's basically like, let me put it like this. You know what you do to stop yourself from peeing on yourself? Like you have this really big urge to pee. You're trying to rush to the washroom and you have to hold it. Those are basically Kegels, when you're like holding, like stopping your pee from coming out. So to do Kegels, don't do it while you're in the process of needing to go run to the washroom and pee. Do it just regular. Like I'm sitting down right now, I'm gonna do a Kegel. You guys obviously aren't gonna see it, but this is how it goes. You do a Kegel, hold it for 10 seconds, and then release. And it's been testimonies that if you do 2 sets of Kegels, 10 to 20 reps a day for a month, you'll definitely notice a difference with your vagina. So come on, do it with me, ladies. Let's do a 10-second Kegel. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That shouldn't have been that hard. Am I the only one that had struggles like keeping it clenched? Hit up the comment section. Let me know below, you guys. Let me know if it was kind of hard to hold that for a full 10 seconds. I feel like I kind of lose control. I'm blabbering. Okay, moving on. Something I mentioned in my last girl talk video of TMI hygiene is that your vagina is a self-cleaning machine, but I didn't really get into detail about it because I knew I was going to do it for this video. So the reason your vagina is a self-cleaning machine is because the discharge that comes out of your vagina on a daily basis is basically secretion flushing out cells from your vaginal wall, excess water, and bacteria. So think of like you get an eyelash stuck in your eye and your eye starts to water, right? It starts to tear up and it kind of like makes the eyelash come out. It kind of cleans your eyeball of that eyelash. That's basically what discharge does for your vagina. It cleans it itself. It handles this problem on its own. Nevertheless, I do know there are some people who are like hygiene freaks, which is not a bad thing at all. Just make sure if you decide not to listen to me on the whole letting your vagina be a self-clean machine, if you do decide to use a soap of some sort, 1, make sure it's not fragranced and it's as natural as possible, and 2, make sure you're only putting it on the lips and outer surface of your vagina, not inside, you will mess yourself up, okay, boo? You will mess yourself up. Now, something I think a lot of you guys probably are already aware of, but just in case you aren't, your vagina does tend to smell and produce a stronger odor when you are on your period. That is not abnormal. That's just how it is. You are literally getting rid of bad blood pretty much, so it's gonna produce an odor. And during that time period, I completely understand wanting to use a soap to clean down there and stuff. Just remember to make sure that it is natural. And I think I'm gonna just throw this tip in there too. Sometimes I put baby powder on my pad before I pull up my panties all the way, and that kind of helps keep and hold in the odor a little bit better too. Something else to know about your vagina, specifically the discharge portion of it, is that your discharge changes throughout your cycle. So for example, when you're ovulating, your discharge tends to be thinner and a little bit more clearer than usual. And then on the other hand, like right before your period, you might notice that your discharge tends to be a little bit more creamier and on the thicker side. So definitely try to observe that next time it comes around your period and whatnot, just to get to know your body a little bit more. That's actually something I never even noticed per se about my discharge changing colors and whatnot. As long as it wasn't like an apple juice yellow or dookie green, then I was like, okay, like discharge is discharge. But I'm gonna definitely pay attention to my body more and try to notice different signs that my body is trying to tell me. Now for my older ladies, I don't really think my younger ladies have this issue or even thinking about this issue or even know what this issue is. But for those of you guys who do know what douching is, do not do it. Not a lot of people like stress this, but douching is bad for your health because it disrupts your normal chemical balance down there. Plus it can cause uterine infections. Who wants an infection just based off trying to keep her clean? Let her do her while she lets you do you, and y'all do y'all together, okay? Don't do the extra stuff such as douching. It's gonna harm you more than help you. Now, if none of you guys have ever heard of yeast infections or experienced it, take this moment real quick to thank the Lord, okay? Then knock on wood, because I might have just messed you up real quick. But for those of you guys who don't know, yeast infections can actually be contracted pretty fast down there. Examples that might cause you to have a yeast infection is keeping on a wet bathing suit for too long, wearing sweaty underwear throughout the day after you finish working out, wearing super tight pants or booty shorts that's just unbreathable, being on antibiotics. One of the first times I ever caught a yeast infection, when I got all my wisdom teeth taken out, they put me on antibiotics and it like dried me out down. It was horrible. I mean horrible. Did you take the time to thank the Lord if you haven't caught a yeast infection yet? I am not kidding. Take the time now. But yeah, in all seriousness, that is no joke. Also, if you drink a lot of alcohol, ladies, especially if you're in college, turning up every weekend, make sure you're being very cautious about that, because that can mess you up down there too. And I don't think that turned up Saturday night is gonna be worth a week long of itching and irritation and all that, okay? And I definitely mentioned it in the hygiene video, but just to repeat myself, a way of helping to cure yeast infections fast or settle the symptoms is to, one, either insert a garlic up there as if you are inserting a tampon, leave it in for an hour and then take it out. People have said that works for them. Or you can apply yogurt to a sanitary napkin, wear that throughout the night while you sleep or whatever, and it should help soothe the irritation. I tried that before and it definitely does work. Something else you may or may not know is that your diet can affect how you smell down there. So if like 1 week you're like your typical body odor, not really funky, not really stanky, don't smell like a fish, and you're all good, and then the next week you try something different, like you try a new restaurant or eat fast food like every day, that's something to pay attention to, because your diet, what you eat and what you consume, does affect her. For the record, the folds, if you don't know what that is, the lips of your vagina is what helps protect it against infections, which is why they stick together to keep bad stuff out. So that's why I'm like, never apply soap or anything up and in your vagina, like only the surface, which is the lips. I think I mentioned this in the hygiene video, but again, I will mention again because we're talking about vaginas. A buildup of hair down there, like if you have a bush forest or just looking like Joanna Man down there, girl, that can produce an odor real quick, especially when you sweat, if you're working out. It don't even matter. I'm not even going to get into details of examples. Just don't let it get out of hand. It's cool to have hair down there. Just don't let it get to the point where like you can corn roll it, okay? Or braid it, period. That unacceptable. unacceptable. Now I was thinking about possibly making a separate girl talk video on shaving 101 and whatnot. I can still do it if you want me to. Be sure to comment below if you want me to do a girl talk shaving video, but I will say if you want a very smooth, soft like finish after you're done shaving your treasure box, make sure you are using conditioner to shave down there. Shaving cream, soap, it don't do the trick, y'all. I promise you, use conditioner one time, you're never gonna look back at any other products you've used before. It gives you such a smooth, soft, delicate, just finish, okay? Try it. Oh, this just came to mind, but something I didn't really touch on. Ingrown hair follicles down there, my goodness, are those painful, and usually they do come from shaving down there with the wrong type of blade. I used to be the type to shave with a 2-blade. Ingrown hair follicles all the time, so painful. For those of you guys who don't know, ingrown hair follicles on your vagina are basically like a big painful pimple with like the hair stuck in there based off how you shave. Like the hair grew from within and caused an infection. So from that point forward, I was put on to the fact that you should use 3 or 4 blade, but most of the time 4 blade if you can, but 3 blade is okay. Use 4 blade though to shave down there to avoid ingrown hair follicles, and also try to make sure you are shaving in the same direction. So like let's say this is your vagina. If you're shaving in a downward motion, make sure you keep it that way. Don't go crisscross triple X on your vagina. Like, no. Make sure you're staying in one direction, maybe angle it a little bit if you're trying to get your V, but don't go all wild and crazy. You're asking literally for the hair to grow in the wrong direction and give you an ingrown hair follicle. So now the following tips kind of have to do with sex and stuff. So if you are not a sexually active beauty gang member, you don't have to listen to this. You can skip to the myth section. If you're interested, stay around, but just forewarning, now we're getting to the sex portion of your vagina. So it's been scientifically proven that sex and orgasms help to reduce your stress and anxiety. And it makes sense because orgasms increase estrogen, which increases your oxytocin release, which reduces your cortisol production, which is basically a main stress hormone. Another thing in terms of your vagina and sex is that too much sex can cause chafing down there and UTI infections. So don't be a rabbit, ladies. Don't be a rabbit. Sex is nice, you know, but don't do it like, I'm not going to tell you the number. I'm not going to give you a number. Just don't go overboard with it, pretty much. Unless chafing is what you like and having painful pee is something you're into. I mean, be my guest, okay? In terms of sex and stuff, because I'm guessing most of you guys, if not all of you guys, are on birth control. The birth control pill can affect how lubricated and wet you get. So if you're having the issue of, you know, getting wet prior to intercourse or whatever, it might be because of your birth control. So you should probably hit up your gynecologist about that, because I can't really give you any advice on that, nor do I want to, because I'm not a doctor. I'm just letting you know if that's something that you've noticed about your treasure box. Maybe ask your doctor about it to see if there's any way to solve it and whatnot, because you don't want sex to be a painful thing, nor do you want to have to go out and buy like KY Intense and all this other lubricant stuff if you don't have to. So yeah, that's just a heads up. And then the last thing I have in terms of your vagina is just for you to know that sweat, sex, diet, and your period can all affect your vaginal odor. So I kind of touched on that, but I just wanted to finish with that just to let you know, like, if you smell a little funky or you smell a little different than what you usually are, pay attention to those things, okay? Now, in terms of the myths, one myth that I've heard a lot during my lifetime or whatever is that vaginas stretch out or widen after having X amount of sex, okay? Not true. Typically when I did hear those type of things, it was usually jokes being cracked about hoes or whatever, saying like her vagina's probably loose because she's had this many sex partners and blah blah blah. It's not true. Your vagina always has and always will return back to its usual tightness after you've had sex. Now it is different if you do have a baby. You're popping out a 6 to 9 pound human out of you. That changes your vagina, okay? But if you're just someone who has sex a lot or sex a little or whatever, your vagina will always shrink back after you've had sex. Another myth that's been told is that if you don't have sex for a long time, you pretty much like shrink up back down there, and like people kind of think they are re-virginalized or whatever. You can never be a new virgin when it comes to your vagina. Like, once your hymen is gone or whatever, it's gone. So don't just think like just because you're currently sexually unactive, let's say you're unactive for a year or 2 years, like your vagina doesn't re-virginalize itself. Like, it's still what it is. It might be a little bit tense when you do finally come around to having sex again, but it won't be painful because the hymen is gone. And then the last myth is that things can't get lost up there. Like, people tend to think that vaginas are damn near like black holes, like once it's up there, it's gone forever. Obviously not true, especially if you use tampons. If your vagina was a black hole, then how are you able to pull out tampons every time? Just to break it down for you guys, the reason that your vagina isn't a black hole and nothing can ever get lost in it is because the cervix is what blocks off access for anything to get past a certain point down there. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, you guys, that's honestly all I have for you. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other things I could touch on or that I missed or whatever. So as usual, this is Girl Talk. We are a family here. We are Beauty Gang. So if I missed anything or you know things about the vagina that I may not have mentioned, don't hesitate or be scared to comment it below, along with commenting what other Girl Talk videos you guys would like to see me do. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative and helpful, and I helped kind of get you guys up on a couple of things that you might not have known about your little treasure box. So yeah, until next time, guys. Bye.